What's going on, everybody? My name's Cabra, and today we're going to take a look at the Python JSON library. Now, this is a really simple library to use, and first of all, we're going to take a look at what JSON actually is. It stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and quite simply, a JSON is a type of file that we use to store the attributes of an object. However, we can do more than just that. We don't have to have it object specific. We can just use it as a way of storing data that we can index using keys, like we would a normal dictionary. Now, there are some key differences between JSONs and dictionaries. If I open this in Notepad, we can see it looks very similar. It has the same curly brackets as a dictionary, as well as the key value pairs. However, there are two main differences when you are talking about this library. First of all, JSONs are a lot more versatile in that they can store a lot more different data types. They can store lists, they can store nested dictionaries, for example. And second of all, when you are using this library, you need to take good consideration of this fact, and that is you cannot use non-string type keys. What does that mean? Well, the keys you see here, they have to be strings. So if in your Python code you have a dictionary set up with integers or floating point variables, for example, as your keys, it simply will not work. Because when this JSON library saves the things, it converts it straight away into a string type. It casts them all to strings. Now, with that out of the way, we're going to quickly jump our way straight into a Python file. So we're going to type in, we're going to create a new, and well, let's just call it example.py. Now let's open that up in idle. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to first of all import a JSON. Now, an important note to remember is the fact that this Python file is in the exact same location as our actual JSON file. If it wasn't, when we put in our JSON file file path, so for example, file path is equal to default config.py, notice that I don't have to put the C drive or anything like that. The reason for that is because it's in the exact same directory. If your JSON file is not in the same directory, make sure you are using the full path. Now, the second thing we're going to do is we're going to open up a file. When we're using JSON, we have to open the file up before we then use the JSON library, and it like so. So we just type in file equals open, and then the path, so we're going to be using that variable we declared up above, and then the mode. Now, for now, we're just going to quickly read this file. So we're going to file equals open, file path with the mode read. Then, this is where we're going to the actual JSON part. And to read a file, we're going to type in JSON.load, and then the file that we want to load. Again, this is the open file, not just a string file path, because if you use just a string file path, it won't work. Now, if I hit run on this, we can see that we've got an issue here, and that's because I've given the wrong path name. That's no problem at all. Just run that again, and you can see we don't actually get any return on that. Now, I want to make sure we save this to a variable, and then we're going to also make sure that we actually close that file. Again, that is a really important detail, because you can literally straight up wipe that file if you do not close them after you have finished using them. If I hit F5 again and click OK, and now we should have that file dictionary saved with our JSON dictionary in it. So I can actually type that and type in file dict and then put in one of the keys. So for example, volume is one of the keys in that dictionary, and hit it, I get a return value. If I print it out, again, I get the full dictionary. And just to prove to you that it is actually a dictionary, if I type in type of the file dict, you can actually type it out. You can see it's actually got the class dictionary because it is a true dictionary object type. Now, the next thing to do is, what if we want to save data? Well, first of all, let's think about, well, we've opened it. We probably want to actually do something with that information. Now, we can't edit the JSON file as it is. We need to go through this file dictionary in between. So what I mean by that is, if I want to change the volume key value in the file, I have to read the file, turn it into a dictionary, edit the dictionary, and then resave that dictionary as a JSON. So to do that, it's just like we normally would with any dictionary of changing the value of a key. Volume is equal to, and then let's say we're going to change to 25, keeping in mind that originally it was 100. Now what we have to do is we need to reopen that file, but this time when we open it, we're not going to be opening it in read mode, we're going to be opening it in write mode. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to then resave this dictionary. So to do that, I'm going to type in JSON.dump This first parameter is going to be what we want to save. So for example, there's our file dict, which we've now just changed the value of volume to now be 25. And second of all, we're then going to change it. We're going to then specify what file we want to save it to. So for example, file, which is in the mode write. If it's not in write mode, it won't work. Once we've done that, we then have to close our file, because again, otherwise it just won't behave very well. If I hit F5 and run it, you can see I get nothingness in response, but if I go into my notepad here, I get a prompt and it says it's been modified. If I click yes, take note of this volume value, click yes, and boom, we can see that's actually been changed to 25. And that was my bad before. That used to be a string type. That again is an integer. So as you can see, one quick thing to specify is that volume has to be, well, all these keys are strings. They will never be any other type. And that's it. That is effectively all you need to know, because when you are looking at the Python JSON file, all it can do is it can write and it can serialize and deserialize, i.e. it can write JSONs and it can open them back up. And that's all you need to know. So the two main things you need to remember are going to be JSON.load, where you then put the file that's being opened. And then for the JSON.dump, it's going to be data to write, and then where to write it, i.e. what file to write it to. And remember, always make sure you're closing any files that you're opening, and that you need to separately open those files before you then use JSON on them. And that, guys, is it for this entire library. I hope you enjoyed. Please do remember to leave the like, comment and subscribe. And if you do have any questions, leave a comment. I'll leave all the more information about the JSON library, etc. down in the description below.